Hi, I'm Jay from Bad Religion, and you're watching Fight Network. Got fat. You know what I mean? Like we spent a good number of years in that luxury cush zone where we got paid too much money and everyone told us we were great, and then that started to go away and we didn't know what to do. So in 2001, after 21 years, we sort of recommitted ourselves to the band. It was really a turning point. We could have stopped, because I think Greg, the singer, and myself, we both kind of thought we either need to get it together and make this great again, or stop, because we're sort of embarrassing ourselves. And I was pretty mad, because I always thought we were this the formidable Bad Religion. We were a force of nature, and at the end of that 2000, I just felt like we just sort of gone out with a whimper, and I was pretty pissed. So fortunately, we put our ego in our back pocket and got back to work. Just a faded cheat down. No one ever told me it was gonna be like this. Contemplate the randomness. When the mind is willing, it gets downright perilous. Overburdened underwear. Very important. I think that there's so many bands from 1980 that are our contemporaries then, but they stopped working and they stopped making records and they stopped going on tour, and now they're coming back saying like, oh, we're from that scene. It's like, yeah, but we've been making records every 2 years. We've been working really hard. That's why we're at the metal festival. It's not because, oh, you were around in 1980, you're cool. So being contemporary and going on tour with bands that are like brand new, or opening for bands that are younger than you but bigger than you, once again, put your ego in your back pocket and go out with these guys. It sort of keeps you in the mix of what's happening right now. And so people hopefully are still thinking of you as a current band and not as, some classic rock band from 1980. Unrepentant vagabond, pop the new coordinates and cast them out. I've always been a fan of boxing. Never a huge wrestling fan, but always just a fight fan. I kind of like the idea of mano a mano. I always think that that's something that there's more to it than just brute force. It's the ultimate chess game, and the stakes are pretty high. And as we were speaking of earlier, as MMA first started to come onto the scene, it was unbelievably brutal. And obviously that was very appealing, because that was as close to no rules as you're ever going to get. And, as rules started to come into play, and as the defense started to come more, people started to figure out how to defend themselves against stronger, quicker opponents, then it got sort of boring for a couple of years. And then people started to figure out, okay, well, if you're just going to lay there and hold me down, I'm going to beat you with my shoulders and my elbows, and you're going to be sorry that you did that, hence the ground and pound. And all of a sudden, the game changes to, it's really the ultimate all-around fighting. You have to be good at everything. It seems like the wrestlers and the jiu-jitsus pretty much can get away with the most of it. I don't think you can just be brutally strong and do anything in the octagon or in any ring in this environment. But I just think it is becoming the ultimate thinking man's fight. I put my son in a boxing gym in Vancouver called Griffin's. And they were great guys. They had some great trainers, and I went in just to kind of like, look, if you're going to do it, I'll do it too. I never fought. I just sort of did the training just to kind of not be fat. But made a lot of good friends there, and they had a lot of good people in there that were working really hard at a goal, and I'm a goal-oriented guy, and to watch people do that is always impressive to me. I get that good butterfly feeling in my stomach when I'm watching somebody pursue their goal 100%. I'm just that guy. Just a faded cheat down. I try to watch all the time because now buses have the dish on top, so you can watch TV rolling down the road. I try to watch, and even if it's on pay-per-view, you can still buy it. You never pay for it. It goes right to the bus company, and you're like, I don't know, I didn't touch that. You didn't hear that. So obviously, right now, the Jones fight is that's what's on the agenda next. No, and I don't care about much of that stuff. I don't read the intros to books. I just read the book. I don't care about press hype. I know it can, it was real. I don't really care. I just want to see what happens in the ring, because that's where dollars become donuts, and you just like, okay, this is fine. I would have thought Jones 100%. I might be 60-40 right now, Jones, because it's Cormier. He seems light, if that makes sense. Like he takes everything kind of not too difficult. It just seems like he's okay with everything. Like, you ever seen him do color commentary? He's like, yeah, whatever. Not afraid of anybody. And even guys that are in his weight class, they're just dominating. He's like, yeah, he's okay. Like, take it. But there's something about that's like terrifying. Like Mike Tyson was terrifying in his prime. When you would watch him fight, you'd think that guy's a monster, but you'd hear him talk and go, what? So, I don't know. That could. I'm starting to change my mind. I thought Jones was, easy victor in anyone he came up against. He was that but. And then again, as anybody says, any given day, anybody can win any given fight for whatever reason. Look, would you have ever thought Anderson Silva would have broken his shin like that? Never. And so, anything can happen. When I was a kid and I would fight, I was a stand-up guy until someone threw me on the ground the first time, and I went, this isn't fighting, and now we're on the ground. And I vividly remember that sort of changed the dynamic of a fight for me, because now there was a different element where gravity could play an unbelievable part of what you're doing. And I would prefer to stand, because my arm length helps me, my leg length helps me, and being on the ground is anyone with weight or strength can keep me down, and it's hard for me to get up. Tall guys tend to, the taller you are, the further you fall. So I think for me, I'd rather stay standing, but it's funny watching how many new submission holds are coming from the bottom position. It's incredible how limber these guys are with their legs. And before you know it, someone's in the triangle choke. You're like, I don't even know how that happened. Yeah. So, I think it's just, when I grew up skateboarding, it was like, going down a hill was as rad as you could be. And then all of a sudden people were skating pools, and it was like, you're skating an empty swimming pool. Okay, well, I'll try that. And then guys were flying out of the swimming pool, and I said, yeah, you guys are just nuts. So, this sport is evolving the same way, and it's nowhere near done yet. There are going to be people coming along that will just be able to do things that we can't even comprehend right now. Yeah, I think so. I think that it is a fine art. There is an art to understanding your surroundings, and my understanding of the word art and how I like to think of it is anything that evokes emotion. So if it's a painting, a sculpture, a book, a fighter, the way he fights, if it evokes emotion in me, it's an absolute art. It's what I do. I walk out on stage, it's like, well, I'm trying to just play music, but I'm not up there just trying to play music into the stratosphere. I'm trying to get something out of a crowd. I want them to throw shoes at me. I really do. It's like, if they're standing there looking at me, it's the worst experience I've ever had. Like, if they're throwing stuff, I win. You know, so I just want to evoke something. So yeah, absolutely, they're artists. I was always a big fan of like the Matt Hughes and the GSPs and all that stuff. And right now there's just so many people that are, okay. I just want to see the Diaz brothers against anyone. That's all. Because I like them a lot. Yes and no. You know, my feeling is, are they being paid up? Are they being paid enough? That's really up to them to decide if they're being paid enough. And, you know, the UFC is the only game in town in terms of that high dollar contract. You can bitch about it, but it's like playing Major League Baseball. You can bitch about MLB, or you can go play in Cuba. I mean, it is what it is. It's the business, and it's not, you kind of have to get in part of it. And my feeling with most sports people is they have the opportunity to make more money in sponsorship than they'll ever make in fighting. You know what I mean? You know, Tiger Woods made all of his money from American Express and Buick, and it's like, holy crap. So if you're a smart businessman, you get your name in the UFC because that's where the spotlight is, and then you get your face on a box of Wheaties if you can make that happen. So whether you're getting paid enough, it almost isn't as important as the kind of publicity that you get as a UFC fighter. My feeling. Well, I mean, our problem is never really performance. It's what we take isn't really a strengthening thing. Most of the guys out here take like Valium, Vicodins, because that sort of calms your nerves so that you can walk out and play in front of 80,000 people without pissing your pants. That's kind of the downers are the big thing out here, and it's a bummer because a lot of guys, all of a sudden, it's like you go from taking one before a show to taking 80 a day, and you've got a problem. So, is it cheating? No, not really. But in a sports atmosphere, it's an unfair advantage. And as we said before, you know, it's like any other sport where everyone is doing it, a couple people get caught, and it's like, well, he's a cheater. And it's like, yeah, but I'm only doing it because I can't win if I don't. That's the nature of these sports. And we said, Marty McSorley said, if you're not cheating, you don't want to win bad enough, which is a true and great statement. It's sad that it has to be that way, but that's just the way it is. You know, some sports don't benefit from steroids. I don't think golfers do well on steroids. I don't think that's really going to help them win. You might hit the ball 300 yards, but you still got to putt. So, you know, there's good parts and bad parts about everything. You know, the MMA scene is definitely a spot where being stronger is going to help you. Being faster is going to help you. And it'll be like anything else where they're just going to have to basically do random testing. And it's why some of the guys already aren't fighting, because it's like it's just a known thing. Like, look, you can't fight because you're failing drug tests. You know, I still think, like, if you want to smoke weed, go for it, because it's just not going to help you at all, no matter what you think. It's just going to make you all reggae.